Meta's Reality Labs division has accumulated losses of at least $80 billion chasing a virtual future. In 2021, Mark Zuckerberg rebranded his entire company from Facebook to Meta. It wasn't just a name change, it was a declaration. He told the world that the future of human interaction was the Metaverse, persistent virtual space where we would work, play, and socialize as digital versions of ourselves. To build this world, Meta created a dedicated arm called Reality Labs. The goal was to move beyond the smartphone and create a platform that Meta owned entirely, removing the need for intermediaries like Apple or Google. But as the years passed, the vision collided with a brutal financial reality. By 2026, reports indicated that Reality Labs had generated losses of at least $80 billion. To put that in perspective, some estimates suggest the spending on the Metaverse vision alone since 2020 reached $45 billion, a sum roughly equal to the total GDP of Nicaragua. To understand how this happened, we have to look at the mechanism of the spend. Reality Labs is not just a software studio, it is a massive hardware and infrastructure operation. Meta invested heavily in VR headsets like the Quest line and experimental prototypes like the Orion glasses. They didn't just want a game, they wanted the operating system of the future. But the cost of this ambition was staggering. In the first quarter of 2024 alone, Reality Labs lost $385 billion while bringing in only $440 million in revenue. This means the Metaverse division was contributing only about 1% of Meta's total sales, while burning through cash at a rate of $10 to $15 billion annually. This spending far exceeded the $5 billion annual cap that concerned shareholders had recommended. There is a stark contrast between the hardware and the software. On the hardware side, Meta found some success. They had sold approximately 5 million Quest headsets, establishing themselves as a leader in consumer VR hardware. But the software, the actual Metaverse experience, struggled. Horizon Worlds, Meta's flagship social platform, attracted only about 300,000 monthly users according to 2023 data. This was a disaster when compared to competitors. Roblox, for example, amassed 230 million users. Epic Games invested $1 billion into Fortnite to create a massive virtual ecosystem. Both built their worlds organically, while Meta tried to force a virtual society into existence with tens of billions of dollars of upfront investment. Then there was the issue of user retention. Studies showed that 74% of U.S. adults either abandoned Metaverse platforms within 6 months or never engaged with them at all. Even the business-to-business side failed. Tools like Workrooms couldn't gain traction against established giants like Zoom and Microsoft Teams. The promise of a virtual office was met with the reality of VR fatigue and a lack of practical utility. As the financial bleed continued, the Metaverse became a magnet for instability. A speculative bubble formed around virtual real estate, exemplified by a $4 million plot of land sold in Decentraland back in 2017. But for the average user, the experience was marred by insecurity. In 2024, approximately 2 million accounts were closed due to pig butchering scams, a type of fraud where scammers trust with victims before stealing their money. The Securities and Exchange Commission documented $6 billion in Metaverse-related investment losses since 2022. Public perception soared. 70% of adults believed the Metaverse harmed reality rather than enhancing it. A November 24 crackdown on Southeast Asian scam networks further exposed the moderation failures within Meta's virtual spaces. By 2024, the strategy began to pivot. Meta initiated a major restructuring, splitting Reality Labs into 2 distinct divisions: Metaverse, focusing on software and experiences, and Wearables, focusing on AR glasses and neural interfaces. This wasn't just a bureaucratic change, it was a downsizing. Meta halved the workforce of approximately 10,000 employees in this sector. The focus shifted toward the Nazare AR glasses, targeted for a 2026 release. This signaled a move from fully virtual reality, where you are cut off from the world, to augmented reality, where digital elements are overlaid on the real world. But the biggest shift wasn't toward AR, it was toward AI. Mark Zuckerberg's public interest in the Metaverse has tapered off, replaced by a fixation on superintelligence. Meta is now integrating AI into every part of its strategy. They've released the open-source Llama 2 AI model to power interactions and are developing FilmGen, a video generator intended for a 2025 launch to create immersive content with less human effort. They even allocated $10 billion for an AI data center in Louisiana, though the facility's power needs have drawn criticism for contradicting Zuckerberg's own climate pledges. In the end, the $80 billion trail of Reality Labs reveals a deeper truth about Meta's business strategy. Whether it is the Metaverse or superintelligence, the through line is not the technology itself. It is Mark Zuckerberg's recurring search for a platform he owns. For years, Meta has been a tenant on Apple's and Google's land, relying on their operating systems to reach users. The Metaverse was a bid to replace the iPhone with a device of his own. Now, he's betting that AI and new interfaces will make the phone irrelevant. The question remains whether these new bets will finally pay off, or if they will simply become another expensive line item in the history of tech's most expensive gambles.